Mic test, 1, 2. What's going on, everybody? Good evening, or I guess good morning to everyone in the EU, like really early in the morning. Thanks for dropping by. Late reaction today. Didn't want to do it too early, so I would be stepping on everyone else's toes. But much like everyone else, I will be reacting to the hood translations of the new One Piece chapter. Word on the street is that the art is hard to decipher in these new scans, but the English is not so bad. So if I miss something, I'm going to leave it up to you, chat, to help me out. Thanks to Kako in chat for moderating. What's up, pretty motherfucker? What's up, Paul, Revan, Joe? Good to see the family is here. Oh, yo, my boy Memento. Sen, the goat. Mindfia. Sonachi scans. Yes, I will be reading from the Sunach scans. You here for Sneakers? Sneakers is not here at the moment. She outside the door. You'll probably hear her at some point in time, though, when she hears me talking. There is the fake King of Lightning. What's up, fake King? I don't plan for this to be a particularly long stream. I know that there have been at least 3 discussions already in various other streams. Sensei's, Fiji's, and Braga, since I saw Braga throw out a link. So I probably won't be doing a discussion. I also still want to play Overwatch tonight, so I probably won't be streaming for like 3 hours as per the usual for your boy. Mod me, bruh. Yo, Montago, what have you done? What did you do to deserve mod, okay? Answer me that. There's fake Brago. That's insane. All the fake accounts coming out. Oh, wait, is that fake Brago or is that not fake Brago? I can't tell. Is that still the Brago that Matt unmodded? I think that's fake Brago. You here for this shit? Well, let's just hop right into it. I don't want to delay it much longer. We can get into the chapter right away and do some discussion afterwards with the chat. All right, so I know from these scans that it doesn't start with the color page that we were supposed to get. I've already seen the color page though on Twitter, so I'm not worried about that. Is there a? I know there's a color spread. There's no cover page, right? This week with the pound stuff. Is that all? Is that all? That's not this week, right? Anyway, so we see, I'm guessing this is a callback to whenever Kaido got cut by Odin. He goes, ugh. So 2-panel callback to the present time. I see some fire. There's Odin. Open the borders of Wano. So we get a little flashback. Follow them. Erase the name of the Kozuki. Don't underestimate my samurai. Your will. Okay, so this is definitely some hood translations. Your will be spoken of for years to come. I made that a bit more easier to digest. Okay, so here we go. So they're all falling off the thing. This is in real time now. I don't care if I'm forgotten. My soul will live on. Blah, blah, blah. So for some reason, Kaido's remembering all of that. So they're falling off. Kaido-sama, it's the Red Scabbards. Get your weapons. It's a ride. So we see, I think that's Kinemon. He's just trying to dig his sword, and there's some sort of sound effect. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. And then I think this is Kiku. Did she cut through Kaido's hand? That's very, very interesting. Okay. And we see Neko. He's not doing anything. And then we see Raizo. Can't really tell what he's doing on top of Kaido's chest. Probably give him the meanest ride of his life. But from this interpretation, it would seem like Kinemon and Kiku cut Kaido. And Kaido is all question marky. Going, gah! The wound I received from Odin, why is it aching? Why did the blades pierce me? So we just see some stuff. They're still falling. These guys also have Odin's Rio. Kaido-san is screaming. Oh, he's screaming. Oh, bitch made. So I see the next page. All the scabbards making faces. Pierce him. And they just... Apparently Kaido was falling really, really fast. So he just impacted the earth and destroyed all of it. I gotta get a close-up on this stuff. This stuff is zoomed out. They fall into the underground. There's no way he kill those samurai. Were the pirates just from before, just a decoy? There may be more intruders. So we see Hyo and some random other dudes. I think that was one of the guys that was trapped in the prison. I don't remember. Weird face here. You're right. I will not let you put a hand on them. This party is really dangerous. Some people are revealing themselves, whatnot. This party is really dangerous. Did Kaido die? Wow, these guys have transformed. Aren't they the Yakuza that should be arrested in Udon? Wow. So we're going back to Luffy and Yamato. Let's hurry and attack Kaido while he's weak, Luffy. They are the real Odin retainers. They are strong. Cap. Found ya. So this is ulti. Yamato. So Yamato clashes with ulti. The headbutts. So there we go. How dare you do that before Yamato? What were you doing? It's okay like this. The day to become Kozuki Odin has come. I don't get it. Are you an idiot? So they're just talking. Young Master Yamato, this is terrible. Your father's been attacked and there are a lot of enemies on the floor. I'm not your ally anymore. I don't care if my father dies. Oh, wow. How emotional. Straw Hat, so we see Big Mom. Oh, dear. What's going to happen here? Get Big Mom. I'm busy right now. Okay. Let's run away, Carrot. Yes. So I see Nami and Carrot are still extreme diffing this bread and whatever. Black Ball Electro. Cloud Road. Yeah. I've come from far away just to kill you. Luffy making a Luffy face. Scene transition. Live floor. Straw Hat, why did you come here? You're not going to say something ridiculous like coming to defeat Kaido, are you? You're right. That's not why. Luffy, that's not why. Okay. Straw Hat, what happened, Straw Hat? Definitely going to need to read the actual scans. Not just Kaido, you the commanders of Orochi and subordinates. I've come to kick all of your guys' asses. It's an all-out war. So I see Big Mom doing some raffing. Don't be so full of yourself just for bringing a few hundred people. So we see Queen. Mwahaha, that's right, idiot. There are thousands of intruders going into the castle through the rear. Ooh, the rear. So we see Queen making another stupid Queen face. The samurai that we should have arrested in the flower capitals, the prisoners of Udon. So we see Kid and Killer with some fodder in the background. And we see Zoro with some fodder in the background. And adding to the pirates, the former Shichibukai Trafalgar Law. Everyone is joined together, and their forces just keep increasing. Furthermore, for some reason, Mark of the Phoenix and Charlotte Perospera are in the entrance. Oh, man, so boring. Huh? Oh, I gotta zoom in on this page. Orochi's delusions that no one believes. It's starting to come together. Odin's castle and rumors of the shadows. Punk Hazado. Dressrosa. The mythical islands, so it's interesting that you guys hid behind the backs of the Straw Hats who I deemed as enemies. I didn't expect you to side with pirates. Secreting yourselves or hiding yourself, I guess that's a weird word they used here. Hiding yourself for 20 years, running around for so long. Good job gathering this many soldiers. Oh, Kaido's bleeding from the mouth. Jeez Louise. Extreme diff for Kaido here. I say he's bleeding from his chest as well. But the pirates will betray you when they realize they're going to lose. They'll turn their backs on you and run away. I've already broken down that Straw Hat Luffy's overconfidence. When? Okay. That is a great dishonor to that man. Luffy Donut is different from all of you. He's the man who will even die. He will always be there. That is my promise to that man. Cool. To all you drunks in Onigashima, tonight's festival is canceled. It's canceled! Get your weapons. Nani. Let's go. We're going to take back Wano Country. So we see Kyle doing some laughing. I heard you, Straw Hat. Koi! I will accept your challenge. So Kyle, we see Kyle transforming. Oh, we don't actually get to see the transformation, though. Unfortunate. I'll show you the strength of the world's strongest power. So as Kaido is flying back up. Okay, I can't really tell what's going on here. I see Luffy Dono, but I can't. Okay, so I see Kaido. Well, I see. Who the hell is that? Ugly face dude. Big face Raizo. I see Kinemon maybe and someone else. Maybe that's Denjiro. I can't tell. Much appreciated. Kinemon, let's meet again later. Okay. So scene transition. Onigashima Dome Rooftop. Oh, this is a nice panel. Damn, I've already sobered up. So we see the mid scabbards, and is there anyone else there? No, okay, just the scabbards. If we want to battle, better to do it in an open space like it was on that day, although Odin is already dead. There's still other differences from that day. We figured that you wouldn't be able to fight in the dome in your dragon form. We've brought the soldiers from our kingdom, the mink tribe, the snow. The snow is flower petals, the full moon. I can see it well tonight. Oh, that is a nice little panel there of Nekomushi's face. I like how Oda used the entire panel to be black and just showed the facial features. That is a nice. I like that. That is good art. I like this. This last page is definitely very good. I like this last page, the way it's set up. The snow and everything. That looks good. And that is the end of the chapter already. Oh, okay. Oh, so here's the color picture. I haven't actually got to look at this to see what it is. I don't think it's anything special, just something nice. Oh, is this the first color page that Jinbei's on? Interesting. Interesting. Okay, what's on people's shirts here? I always gotta look for the little details to see what's going on here. So we see Bei Nami. We see Robin's face. Usopp's got something on his shirt. Good. Something. I see like a little ox. Jinbei's kimono looks nice. Oh, Luffy's got a devil fruit shirt. That's pretty cool. Is he sitting on top of a dog that has a dog on it that's sitting on top of a bigger dog? That's a dogception. Ooh. So this is something I've noticed. I was actually talking about this with someone before. Oda is definitely becoming a bit more blatant, unfortunately, with his Frankie and Robin agenda. But that would be the end of the chapter. I had heard that I was particularly not going to like this chapter. I'm assuming it's the beginning. It's the reason why, outside of like the rush pacing and the meh, everything else. I don't know. I don't think it was as bad as people anticipated me thinking it was bad. The only thing, like, I can understand the beginning part where Kaido's getting hurt. It's supposed to be a callback to some subconscious weakness to Odin. It's not particularly well done. I think that would have benefited a lot more from things mattering more in the Odin flashback and there being a bit more development in terms of the actual relationship between Odin and Kaido, because it was kind of skin deep. But I understand the point there. So the logic of Kaido getting cut it's not a big deal to me as far as I'm concerned. It's whatever. But the rest of it was just the events happening. We see Yamato and Ulti. Maybe Yamato's fight will be Ulti. It is somewhat anticlimactic. I will point this out that I think Oda could have definitely used this for a different reasoning. It's unfortunate because, like, when you use this plot device, you typically want to make it a bit more dramatic. But Carrot and Nami getting captured is, like, redundant if they escape immediately with, like, no real drama surrounding it. This basically just tells me from a writing standpoint that the only thing that Oda wanted to do from this entire thing was just get Zeus back to Big Mom. And I think that could have been accomplished if Oda had just shown what had transpired during the other events and then actually made an effort to write what was going to happen there. So it'd be a bit more interesting, and it's its actual own side plot. You'll notice that in the raid of Onigashima that a lot of the side plots that were set up have been immediately ended and canceled with no depth whatsoever to them. That might be a rushing or pacing issue from Oda. So that could have been done better. Not the end of the world, but certainly a wasted potential. Let's see, anything else here? Still no sign of Sanji. It looks like Zoro the slander is ready. Looks like Zoro finally got done extreme diffing the gifters. He needed the help of the prisoners of Udon. I knew it. But yeah, it looks like the next chapter will probably be getting into... Still waiting to see where things are going to go in terms of the overall scope and direction of the Onigashima Dome rooftop raid. Just as you see Law's new right hand Hawkins. What, really? I did not see Hawkins. Let me go back. Is that Hawkins? I can't tell. That doesn't look like Hawkins to me. I think that's just like some guy or like one of the other dudes. I forget not Sachi, not the other people, but like just some random other person. That doesn't look like Hawkins to me. Do I like the Parasparrow and Marco team up? Just in concept, no, I don't. Like, for me, it's kind of it's a bit boring, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, obviously they're working together now, so there could be like an interesting twist here in terms of how much they know each other, this, that, or the other. I'm going to give that some time before I look at it. Of course, it's still a bit weird of like the walking up the waterfall thing, but you know, whatever. Look carefully, bro. I'm looking, like, I understand he's got some hair and his back's turned, but his getup, it just doesn't seem like, I don't know, from my interpretation, it looks like he's kind of like wearing like a kimono or something. It doesn't feel like Hawkins. Hawkins is also very, very tall. He's standing next to Law, and Law's like, of course he's probably like on a higher platform, but it just doesn't seem like it's Hawkins, you know? But let me go ahead and bring out the chat. Just, do you think it's relevant at all that in the spread Oda drew Luffy holding a pipe like he did as a kid? Let me go ahead and look. Well, let's try to relate it to what the other characters are holding, because like him holding a pipe in of itself is not particularly. I mean, I understand what the community would see from that. Where they're expecting, like, is that like a callback to Sabo? Is that just a callback to Luffy's childhood? Stuff like that. And I'm not sure. Although Zoro's sword that he's holding, the right sword, like with the purple sheath, what sword is that? Has that always been something he had? I don't recall that color sheath. Of course, I'm not a Zoro expert when it comes to the color of his blades and whatnot. I just feel like the legend behind Kaido's invulnerability simply being dispelled by the use of Ryo is just super meh. So I understand that. So what I'm going to do is I want to wait for these scans because that's something I picked up on upon reading. But at the same point in time, the way that I looked at it is if Kaido, the only thing you needed to surpass Kaido's defenses was just some basic Ryo, then literally he shouldn't even be a Yonko. If that was the only thing that it took. That's not a hard ability to learn. And like all of the admirals have it. So the way I was trying to rationalize it in my mind, it wasn't done well. But like the point that I was thinking about is I was trying to think it back to like Big Mom, where you know how Big Mom, if she's in a state of mental weakness, she loses her invincibility, which is why the Mother Karma picture was so relevant in Whole Cake Island, and then she was able to get hurt. Like the way that I perceived that was that just the fact of him thinking about Odin, even though like during the flashback, Kaido never had any fear of Odin whatsoever. There was like no emotion between them whatsoever, which should have been done better in the flashback, but a lot of things should have been done in the flashback. I understand that's supposed to be the point though, is that I thought just like the Odin stuff made him like, oh, I forget, sort of thing. Now, it's also important to say that I do think that the fact that Kaido got hurt so fast because of this is a bit underwhelming in the sense that a majority of Wano has been talking about how invincible Kaido is. And Luffy went through all of the training with Ryo and Udon and whatnot. Zoro got Emma, the only blade the only blade cap to have cut Kaido. And then the first thing that we see is whenever the retainers show up is that they're able to cut Kaido, albeit through some like bullshit. That I think is thematically underwhelming in the sense that if you build everything up prior to these events as if you need X, Y, and Z to even touch Kaido, and then that's just not the case, it is a bit underwhelming from Kaido's sheer invincibility perspective. Logically, I could see where it's coming from. It's just underwhelming. And part of that's also the case because the Scabbards themselves are very underwhelming characters, and their entire history is underwhelming, so that moment's not as impactful, for me at least. But I understand. This chapter essentially confirmed that all the Scabbards have Ryo. This brings some issues such as why Ryza was looking for the keys to Luffy's handcuffs when he has Ryo. I don't know if this actually confirms he has... Here's the thing, son. I want to wait for the officials because, like, as I was explaining, I don't necessarily believe that they all have Ryo. To me, it was like he was questioning if they do because he does not understand why he started to get hurt. So from my perspective, that was Kaido, like, does they have Ryo? Like, he was, like, questioning, like, that would be the only thing they could have to hurt him. But I was leaning towards more of the psychological aspect for Kaido. I'm not sure what the truth is. We'll have to wait and see. But that is a valid point. If they do all have Ryo, then it's... Well, we'll talk about that when we get there. But for me, it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. I will say, in comparison to the previous chapter, these ones are on similar levels in terms of, like, not being good. So it's not the worst thing in the world to me. What, Morge was disgusted with this chapter? Disgusted? Oh, baby. You'll love to hear that. Me and Morge are actually, we set up a little date. We're going to be on a one-on-one tomorrow talking to each other. So I can't wait to talk to him about the chapter. Although I wonder what Morge thinks about in terms of Kaido being hurt so easily. Albeit it was for the reasons that I discussed. I wonder how he perceives that in terms of where things are going in the future of the fight. Because if the raid was supposed to end in horrible failure, right? Then would it have been even worth Oda's time having the Scabbards do what they were supposed to do. Like giving that ray of hope. I wonder what Morge interprets as like what that means for the rest of the fight. I do see the chat is definitely more triggered than I am, considering the chapter. I don't know, chat, for people that did not like the chapter, please explain, like, what about it made it, like, other than the things that I already mentioned, is there something that I'm missing that is, like, inconceivable? Like, very underwhelming, outside of just the presentation of the chapter? Dritz, does Dritz hate One Piece not trying to be funny? Generally want to know. No, I do not hate One Piece Abon the Traveler. I will say that I have a significantly decreased investment in the overall series due to the consistently bad quality of the material put out. I will say that. More didn't make any tweet or video about the chapter. Also fake news, I see. Just how come you private your live reactions? I'm going to be re-uploading them to my secondary channel in my Discord. I just don't want my channel to get bogged down in terms of algorithms for live reactions. My plan for the future is I'm going to release a few videos, but I'm trying to build up my channel's retention rate and traction so that whenever I release the video, there will be a bigger audience for it to go, and it will be promoted a lot more. So that's the reason why I'm taking down the reactions. Do you believe Oda is trying to give the Alliance false hope? I mean, I'm sure that's probably partly the case, but it's really hard to tell because there's no coherent tone to Onigashima. There isn't a uniform tone or sense of scale or like how serious the situation isn't. The situation isn't Onigashima because the Scabbards care, but the Straw Hats don't. So you have this weird dichotomy between the parties involved. So it's hard to say whether or not this was to be fake hope or not. The reverse plot armor for Kaido really bothered me. The inconsistencies are just too much. The reverse plot armor, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Because for me, like, yeah, it's not good. It wasn't written well, and I explained, like 15 minutes ago about how I don't think Oda did a particularly good job on writing in general for the scenario. But like for me, I kind of understood the intent. It was not good though. But yeah, I could feel or understand like the frustration involved with that plotline. Just I think people are mainly scared of the potential that comes with this chapter, i.e. Luffy soloing a Yonko. Jay tweeted that. That's going a bit far. I guess that's the consequence you have whenever like you make the situation happen with Kaido right now. I think a part of it is like people were really, really expecting Kaido to just neg-diff all of the Scabbards. It is curious that Kaido like immediately transformed into his dragon form, which is it's an alright form. But certainly the easiest to hurt. He probably easily could have just smacked them all, but I'm sure Oda wanted to make it a bit dramatic. I love you, Dritz. Joker, I have a love-hate relationship with you. It's mostly hate, though. Damn, just got all these preparations for the video. It's going to be lit. It will be quote-unquote litty. Did I like the chapter? No. I mean, if you were here for me reading the chapter, I was pretty deadpan during it. As I said, for me, none of this feels entertaining. I don't enjoy any of the Scabbards. I think they're poorly written. I don't like the scenario in which we've been involved. I don't like how Oda has been handling any plot line in Onigashima. They've all been bad. So like for me, there's no build up for any of this that feels satisfactory. So no, I don't enjoy it whatsoever. But that said, I'm not disgusted by the chapter. Just Matt said he believes in ZKKC after this chapter. Because of the Kaido getting hurt stuff, man. That really is the consequence of kind of building up everything on Wano and just having it be not the case when Kaido is first confronted. I'm sure perhaps that'll change within the next chapter or two whenever Kaido actually starts to fight. $2 from Jonathan. Not sure if Kaido has a hybrid. That goes along with the King of Lightning idea that mythical Zoans do not have hybrids. It's possible, actually. It's possible. How do you feel about Oda biting off more than he could chew and sacrificing plot lines he meant to develop so that he could rush to the action as quickly as possible? Well, Dragonlope, as you would expect from that question, which I agree with completely, is that I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame. And I will be talking about it in the video as well. But it's awful. It's not good. Marco has a hybrid? No. Marco has never actually went into a full hybrid form before. In the traditional sense that you see most Zoans go into hybrid forms. You haven't seen it. You have seen Marco transform parts of his body, but you haven't seen the complete perfection of combining the two, like Lucci's hybrid form, where he is human plus, what was he, a leopard? All in one without like individual parts. We haven't seen that yet. Do you think the situation of reaction streams and review videos bring down people's enjoyment of the manga? I find myself liking chapters more when I don't watch any videos about it. Well, certainly, Gumbo, because that's kind of like what those are intended to do. And it's not like overall, but reactions, reviews, analysis of the material brings you other perspectives. It highlights things you may not have noticed before. But like that's like the difference between looking at something at a casual level, which is, did I just have fun watching it? And other people, not myself necessarily, but like all live reactions and reviews do this, is like on a deeper level, how do people enjoy it or how do people look at it? So yeah, I mean, that's, reviews either bring up something or decrease something. That's just by the inherent nature of what they are. Yo, just why the fuck didn't anyone with Rio execute Kaido? Like if they used anyone competent, Kaido would have been dead long ago. That's a question that's been asked for a very long time, Tristan. And the Yonko Tards used to justify this by saying that Kaido is simply too strong and too invincible for anyone, even an admiral, to hurt him or kill him. That used to be the OG explanation, which I never bought into. My explanation has been that Oda simply manufactured that tale just to hype up Kaido, even though it doesn't make any sense with anything in the story. Like, if Kaido was captured, 13 times? At least then? 13 times? Then an admiral shows up. If he's been apprehended, he's dead. Right? So, that's obviously wasn't the case. Have you seen the promotional material that said One Piece is entering the final arc saga stage of the story? Translation is unclear. I have seen the material. Did you guys want my opinion on that? Remember just how you or Mord said you want to see the mountain in Wano be used? What for? It's the mountain in the middle of Wano, Mount Fuji. Also, I think this chapter confirms failure. Oh, Endless blank. The reason why we wanted that mountain to be used, and JB's also made videos about this on the past, is that prior to getting into Wano, there was the heavy belief that the Sakura trees in Wano is what Dr. Hiluluk went to go to in order to cure his disease, and that's where Roger and Whitebeard met, like those Sakura trees, that mountain, and like part of it has like some sort of healing ability. And the idea that people wanted to explore those is that like this is something that's used to help stave off disease or cure disease or something of that nature, which would be a very neat thing to include with Chopper's main goal in the series, which hasn't been focused on to any degree whatsoever. Dritz Dimension is almost at 307. I saw that he uploaded 292 to 300. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I'm going to watch that as soon as I'm done with the stream. Dritz, man, lots of what Oda hypes up these days ends up being Cap, and Kaido's legendary impenetrable skin is the latest victim. That's true. Sure, let's hear the opinion. Okay, so as many of you who are aware or track my opinions, you care. But I was one of the people who originally popularized, on Twitter at least, or brought to attention the idea that Oda is currently 45 years old, and he said he wanted to end the series in 5 years, and I brought up the interview which stated that Oda wanted to finish One Piece by the time that he reached 50 years old, so that he would be young enough to travel the world, because one of Oda's dreams is to travel the world while he's still young so he can experience all the greatness that the world has to offer. So I put forth that little shit-eating idea back into the community that One Piece was being rushed for it might be over in 5 years, and the editors are backing this up quite a bit. Now, the exact details aren't the important thing to gather from this ad. It's the intention behind the ad that actually matters, because we know that for as much as authors plan things to end, that not everything goes according to Keikaku meaning plan. But the important thing is that Oda, for the first time in the entire series, has come out basically and is being advertised that the series is coming to an end. That had never been the case before, which tells you the intent and drive behind making that decision for the future of the series. If it's actually being advertised that we're entering the last arc, saga, or series of arcs, then that's an important thing to realize from the fandom's perspective. And I think you might see that replicated within the pace of Wano moving forward. As a result of this chapter, 987, Wano is now the second longest arc in the series, having just surpassed Whole Cake Island. So we will see how long it's supposed to go for. We'll see. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. I've always had it pegged at about 130, but it could be less. It could be more. Dritz, do you still believe Whitebeard and Roger's last meeting was at Wano, and that Hiluluk saw the Sakura blossoms at Wano? Well, now we kind of it's impossible for that to have been the case, because for them to have met at Wano, then there would have had to have been during the Oden flashback, and the last time that they met was the last time that they fought, seemingly. Although that doesn't even make sense, though. Actually, wait, no, that's actually Cap, because Roger met Whitebeard again after he found the One Piece, so that's Cap. So, but they would have then had to go to Wano during Kaido being there to meet, which doesn't make any sense. So those Wano, the Sakurai trees, I think that was just supposed to be pretty imagery. I don't think it's necessarily Wano anymore. I used to believe so, but it's not looking like it's the case. Just what are your thoughts on Matt sleeping on conviction? What do you mean? Matt messaged me today and said that Volume 18 was a bit rough for him to get through, but I don't necessarily disagree with that opinion. I think there are parts of the Conviction arc in Berserk that are kind of a slog to get through. Yamato not joining the Straw Hats will be the best thing to happen in this arc. People got very angry when I said that their waifu wasn't joining. What if it was an Elbaf potentially? Sakura trees in Elbaf? Uh, it's possible, but that's certainly not the kind of theme that I was expecting. TBH, because Sakura trees have always supposed to be Japanese stuff. Dritz, if Wano turns out to be the penultimate arc, oof, that's rough. Yeah, that would be rough. What are my thoughts on the NBA bubble so far, Yak? I think it's been pretty lame, to be honest. I've given up. I stopped caring about the NBA season as soon as the NBA was reinitiated into the bubble. Because, like, everything that happens from the rest of the year, it's just going to be, it's not the same. It's just not the same. I can't have the same investment I did. It feels like it's an entirely different season. And the ring's going to be, like, people are going to question the ring, like, everything involved. You took every team out of rhythm. It's just weird. I'm not invested. Dritz, if the last arc thing is true, people should be alarmed that things are being rushed even more, and I'm fearing Oda is dropping plot threads if Orochi ends up being dead. That is a valid thing to say, man. That's a valid thing, and I don't disagree. If anything, you'll notice that I've been kind of the person saying this is not okay. What Oda's doing, it's not okay. But people are saying it's fire. Wano top 3. Dritz, does the announcement and the pacing of Wano have you worried about Mihawk and how it will be handled? Not just Mihawk, pretty motherfucker, but basically the rest of the big characters in the series. How could I not be concerned about them? If Oda's intention is to end the series in a roughly fast period of time, given how much material we have left, and like how much more the fandom would actually want out of the series, then there is an intense pressure and anxiety when it comes to Oda fulfilling things that he has been holding out on for 24 years. Because Oda is basically saving every single hyped up character that people like until the very, very end. And if Oda wants to rush things, then what does that say about the characters the fandom has been waiting for decades? Dragon, Shanks, Mihawk, Akainu, Blackbeard, the main villain of the series, Emu, stuff like that, Garp, Sabo. What does that say for them as characters? Elbaf as an arc in general. You know, it's a big question mark, man. We'll have to see where it goes. Do I think Big Mom will be taken in Elbaf or Wano? I can see an argument for both Laz. Not Lazarus, though. This Laz, my boy Laz. Not Commodore Laz, just Laz. I would prefer Big Mom to be taken out in Wano so that she can stop plaguing the series and bringing down every chapter that she's in. If Kiku can cut Kaido's hand, then Mihawk's slicing this dude in half in mid-diff. Yo, I'm for it. How high of a chance do you think there is now of a One Piece post-series anime filler continuation like they did with Naruto? I think it's I think there will be a tremendous pressure from the industry for them to pressure Oda into allowing them to do that. They want money. Jitsu happened to notice Frankie and Robin in the color spread, but is it just me or is Oda trying to get relationships ready for the EOS because he recently added pudding for Sanji and Hiyori for Zoro? I've said this, and I that's basically what I think, Tricky, is that I think Oda, progressively from the post-time skip, you'll notice that in virtually every single arc that there has been some form of romance outside of Punk Hazard. In Punk Hazard, there wasn't really any romance, but in every major arc, there has been some romantic subplot. Some of them including side characters, but some of them including main characters. Shirahoshi, you had the stipulation on the idea of Shirahoshi and Vanderdecken. Vanderdecken wanted to marry her. There was some weird pedo shit going on there. Then obviously in Dressrosa, you have Viola and Sanji, which went nowhere. But then, and also after the fact, we had Viola Dofi. We had Sai and Baby 5. And plus in the flashback for Rebecca, you had Scarlet and Kyros, stuff like that. And then in Zoe, you have Milky Chopper, which seems to be setting things up for Chopper. Then, obviously, Hokukai, you have putting Sanji with the continuing plotline, and now we have an introduction of Hiyori within Wano. I don't think it's an accident that these are happening. I also don't necessarily think it's a good thing either. Dritz Wano was the arc I was most hyped going into, and now it's made me lose interest in One Piece. Well, I mean, sometimes that's just going to happen, said Zoro. I think a lot of people were looking forward to Wano. Even in my drag down, I was looking forward to Wano because I wanted Oda to prove me wrong. But we've seen what Wano has been so far. Senor Pink in Russia, yeah, that forgot about that, but yeah, that was the thing too. Dritz One Piece most likely heading towards the inevitable horrible shonen ending. You hate to see it. It's possible. There are two possibilities, obviously. One Piece follows the same path as its predecessors and just tanks at the ending. Or One Piece does kind of like a reverse of a lot of the shonens, where like the shonens were great and then just like randomly fell off. One Piece, it would be this is what I would like for One Piece, because you can't undo the past, is that One Piece went down over the course of 9 years in quality, but ends up having a good ending somehow. I would much rather prefer that, so at least One Piece would stand out in some way. But it's not as if it's a coincidence that you can name more series with bad endings or rushed endings than you can series that completed gracefully. There's a reason for that. Oh, so did you skip this part of the reaction or just not care? I reacted. It was just really, really fast, man. Two things the chapter fell is that A, stakes, Luffy not caring too much about Big Mom's presence, among other things. B, maintaining the villain's hype. Kai was cut by Kinemon, who couldn't cut the birdcage. Well, I would agree with that to an extent, but I'd probably edit the point B. Why do you believe that the setup for the romance has been bad? Well, Zach, the reason why I think that is that a lot of it feels rushed. And this has come somewhat the consequence of just how Oda has written the arcs. So Dressrosa, well, Dressrosa, there are many bad things about Dressrosa. But you know, Whole Cake Island was a mess, obviously. Wano, I don't actually necessarily believe that Hiyori and Zoro are going to end up being a pairing. It could be the case that this is one of the things that Oda just throws in there as a character who's in love with another character. That's a very common trope. Zoro has a couple, only like 2 viable options in terms of pairing. Although as of right now, I would actually lean towards more Hiyori, which is unfortunate because I would prefer Zoro to get a good character for a pairing, but sometimes you just can't do that. But shonen in general as a genre falls into the hole that the authors are too afraid to work on romance until the absolute end of the series, so that there's there doesn't feel like there's an actual genuine chemistry between them, and there's not enough development between them to make it feel like a satisfactory romance. That's why you see, like, in the 2 big shonens prior to One Piece, Bleach and Naruto, The shipping in that went to trash because of how the authors handled romance, but authors are inherently drawn to the concept of romance. Even if they don't like it, romance, almost all authors in some sense are drawn to this concept. Even if it's not a main prevalent part of the series, you will see it's very, very common for authors at the end of series to reward their protagonists with a woman. It's a very common trope. It goes back to sort of like the archetypes behind adventure stories to begin with. Many authors have a bias for doing this. Explain why long-running series fall off in quality like Naruto and Bleach besides authors not doing what they want. Well, like many things, Memento, it's not a one answer sort of thing. It's like a variety of things that play into the equation. So like some things you would say is motivation. The longer you spend your life doing one thing, the less motivated you are to complete it. Because humans get bored or they get pressure. The lifestyle you lead. Being a mangaka is not particularly a healthy thing for you. You see that lots of mangaka work themselves into the ground so they become hospitalized. And over the course of time, they end up severely injuring their bodies so that the later on they are in life, that the worse their quality of life becomes. Not a particularly great thing to experience. 3, pressures of the industry. That could be a thing. 4, your peers. Some people are motivated by the efforts of their peers so they can push forward greater quality. Example, look to how Oda viewed Kishimoto as his primary rival during the height of the series. And that after Kishimoto left, Oda somewhat went into a depression. Another thing is that long-running series in general tend to suffer from a lack of vision. And not vision in the sense of like, the author doesn't know what he's doing, but vision in the sense that authors know kind of, like they have bullet points, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but it's harder to get to the end goal because there's so much material to cover. Lots of long-running series end up not having good endings because of this. Oh, thanks for the $5 dust bucket. Oh, objectifying women as a trophy? Yes, that's a very common story trope. I'm not commenting on whether or not it's good or bad. I'm just saying that that exists. But oh my god, did I catch up with the chat? Oh my god, legendary time for me. Yes, I did a good job. Praise me. Dritz, Luffy and Nami have been kind of absent in Wano, sadly, which I thought originally that Tama could have been kind of like a linchpin, if that makes sense, but nope. Well, I mean, to be fair, many of the Straw Hats have been absent in terms of their investment in the series in general. You can see that replicated heavily within Wano. It's unfortunate because, like, you can see there's somewhat of, like, a mixed effort from Oda's behalf. So, like, I kind of want to give a little bit of effort towards the Scabbards, but not too much. But, like, Oda's had this thing where he could not get the Straw Hats involved in the arc for some reason. He just chose not to do that. But then he also somewhat, like, he went, like, in between. He didn't want to commit to doing one thing. No discussion with the boys? No, I don't think so. There were already 3 discussions today, and to be honest, like outside of people's opinions on Kaido, I don't think there was a whole lot in this chapter that requires a discussion, at least from my perspective. What's good in the Wano arc, in your opinion? I mean, there were good ideas. There have been good ideas. Oda, much to Oda's credit, Oda has absolutely fabulous original ideas and places that plotlines could go, but Oda's biggest fault as an author is execution. He usually never delivers. Well, recently, he doesn't deliver on like any single plotline in the series. There have been plenty of great ideas in Wano. It just simply did not pan out the way that you would have hoped they would. Short or long stream today, Dritz? Probably like somewhere in between. I'm thinking like an hour and a half. So like 30 more minutes, I'd say. Also, what's up, Eric? I see you in the chat. What's going on, baby? How you been? Didn't Oda once say he already had the final page or ending of One Piece in his mind a few years ago? The final page, yes. Final page is not... I'm assuming you're tying that back to my comment about authors don't know how to get to where they're ending. Most authors have like an idea of how they want to end a series, but they don't know how to get there. It's very, very hard. And you have to take into consideration that a lot of shonen authors, and authors in general, whenever you get serialized, you don't have the entirety of your series planned out. Almost nobody does. Like, you would have to be an insane fucking genius to have the entirety of your series planned out to the T before you even get published. Like, that would be ridiculous. So a lot of series suffer from the fact that artists come forth with an idea, they want to get published, and they're thrown into the weekly cycle where they have to start pushing out content. So like, that's where a lot of their creativity comes from, is from pressure, but they don't have the entirety of the series planned out. Just thinking about it now, we most likely won't ever get to see Shanks actually fight, considering the Blackbeard fight, if it happens, will most likely be off-screened. That's what I consider the highest probability, Sen, which is why I am not happy with that outcome. For someone like Shanks, it would be an absolute crime if we didn't get to see an actual fight with him before he's defeated. And you know, like, if anything, the most I can see Oda doing with the Blackbeard and Shanks stuff is like a Blackbeard versus Ace scenario, where we see the beginning of the fight off-screen, come back with the end result. Not particularly enjoyable, but yeah. Just, you can dislike Wano, but it's not as bad as Fishman Island. I disagree. I think it is significantly, to an ultimate degree, worse than Fishman Island. By nature of what the arcs are trying to handle and how important they are, Wano is significantly worse. $5 from Heavy, I want a VC. You aren't getting it. Do you think One Piece arcs are repetitive? Well, here's the thing. Arcs in general, if you break down most structures for an arc, you're going to find commonalities. Most arcs follow the same structure, but there are details in each arc that you can point out to be like, the author may use this X, Y, or Z more than others. And yeah, One Piece arcs do get repetitive. You can break down a lot of what Oda is definitely going to include in each arc, but being repetitive is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on how you handle it. I respect Drit's nose when not to oversaturate YouTube with rehash discussions, but Drit, your discussions are top tier. Cap. Season 1 is almost wrapping up, so we're just chilling. Yo, baby. Good job, Eric. What's up, Drits? What's going on? In the panel showing Perospero and Marco, it seemed like Perospero had his back to Marco. Do you think Marco possibly convinced him to fight with him temporarily? That or vice versa. Perospero and him came to agreement, like, hey, let's work on this. Very possible. Working under pressure and working for fun are two different things. Facts, Eric. Facts. How do you think the crew Straw Hats will react to Hancock loving Luffy? It's hard to say because, I mean, this will happen at some point in time. It will be an absolute tragedy for Oda to never introduce properly Hancock to the Straw Hats. That's just like something the fans desperately want. But it depends on what Oda's intentions are, because I've explained before, but Hancock only has two purposes that you can use that are good from a writing perspective in the series. There are more, but the other options aren't as entertaining or juicy. One is to explore Hancock's past with the Celestial Dragons and have that as a plotline as a result of the Kobe stuff. That's a very obvious sub-route you can go, whether it's her sisters getting captured or she herself getting captured. And second is, given the nature of the archetype of what Boa is, The fundamental use that many authors would use for that character is to forward romance either between Hancock herself or other characters. So if Oda ever had the intention, and I'm not saying that he necessarily does, but if Oda at the end of the series, which is the point in time where he is going to be most likely to include things like this, if he wanted to advance romance for, let's say, Hancock or another character, then her meeting the crew would be used for that function. Or at least you would imagine that that's like the obvious choice. What's the best arc after the time skip, Dritz? Well, I mean, you can like whatever you want to like, but the most cleanly written arc, which now actually suffers as a consequence of how bad Wano has been, is Zoe. Zoe is definitely the cleanest arc, also the shortest arc, not a coincidence. Dritz the writing genius. Listen, I'm not trying to sound pretentious here. I'm just giving you basic answers that anyone who studies writing would give you. It's not like I'm like, oh, I understand writing to such a degree that, smell my fart. Ooh. It's just like, I'm just telling you things from my perspective, man. You can either disagree with them, we can talk about it, or not. I don't think it's a particularly spicy take. $2 from Gigi's bro, and Admiral could never beat Kaido. How a strong fall. Dritz, would it be unforgivable if Zoro and Mihawk fight is only 1 to 3 chapters long? Yeah, it would be. Because there are so many things you would want to incorporate in a fight as monumental as Zoro versus Mihawk. 1 to 3 chapters simply isn't enough. Do I think Oda will regret rushing the story? I'm sure that some part of him will regret the fact that he wanted to do X, Y, or Z, but it depends. Like, One Piece will end up is Oda's legacy, obviously. There's nothing that he could ever do for the rest of his life that will rival the impact of One Piece. Regardless of the quality of manga that he puts out. If he does a manga after One Piece and it's on a technically higher level than One Piece, it could never reach the impact that One Piece has as a story. But I think that Oda will probably needs to enjoy life after One Piece because he's going to be in his 50 plus age when One Piece is finished and he has a family. I think that Oda will regret doing it, but at the same point in time, being there for his family and just making use of the wealth he's accumulated, it will feel very rewarding. Do you think it would be better for Oda to just go on hiatus to travel around the world before One Piece ends and then come back with some fresh air to finish the series? Well, traveling around the world takes longer than just a year. I mean, like, you want to enjoy it, right? I mean, Oda's a multi-millionaire. So, like, if it was a hiatus, like, there are benefits and cons to having a hiatus because you can see this replicated within other authors. Miura hasn't come out and said it, but I think the hiatus has positively and negatively affected him. The longer you are away from something, the more it feels like freedom and the harder it is to get back into the groove of things. I like Whole Cake Island the most personally. Nothing wrong with you liking it the most. I'm just disappointed in Denjiro's plotline. Could be something great and ends up going nowhere, don't you think? I mean, I agree. I think Denjiro has basically been a wasted character at this point. $5 or £5 from Chippy. This year's top 30 going to be interesting. Any rating for the chapter before I head to bed? 6, maybe. I don't know. I'm not too worried about the rating for this chapter. Dritz, Oda would never treat the admirals like what he has done to the Yonko. Don't be so sure of yourself. People said the same thing about Zoro heading into Wano, that Oda would never treat Zoro like he did Sanji, and, well, it has not been the case. Look at Togashi. Yeah, Togashi's another. Well, Togashi's one health reason, but also hiatus as well. Who is your favorite One Piece YouTuber to have a debate with? My favorite? I mean, I just like talking to the One Piece community in general. I don't know if I have like a favorite person I like to debate with. Dritz, what if Kid steals the journal? That would solve the redundancy of Yamato in the journal and can make Kid an actual rival for Luffy. That would be an interesting twist. That would be an interesting twist. I would like that. And also send that as facts. Dritz, every antagonist is treated like a god until they face the Straw Hats. The Admirals are next. Very possible. Dritz, what did you think of the chapter? I just woke up, so I didn't see your reaction and thoughts on the chapter. Pretty mid. Thought it was a pretty mid chapter. Dritz, it's Ty, stop capping. Oh, God, no. You said enjoy. You said enjoy, not not what's the most legendary. I would say probably my most legendary debates are with Ty because we butt heads so often, but I don't enjoy arguing with Ty the most. Definitely not. I'd say just in Grand Line would have a sick debate. I held back so much in Sensei's video with Grand Line. I wanted to be a good guy. I didn't want to be a villain. At this point for Togashi, I doubt it's about his health. Dude is just burnt out from Hunter x Hunter, like what happened at the end of Yu Yu Hakusho. Well, I think it's a bit of both, dude. Because, I mean, there's a point in time where you have to look at what the author is strictly telling you, how they feel, and then, like, conventional evidence. So Togashi, in 2018, he came out with the interview saying that, like, at this point with Hunter x Hunter, because despite his hiatuses, his health has not gotten better whatsoever. That's at least been the news. He has not gotten better in terms of health whatsoever from just, chilling. But he's come out and said that Hunter x Hunter at this point in his life is either he finishes Hunter x Hunter first or he dies. So, I mean, there's a real downside to his future in the industry. And people meme about this a lot, but I really do think it would be the best case in terms of getting closure from the fans on the series is if he simply manned the helm in terms of theory crafting, deciding what the future of the series was, and then have someone else draw it. I just really wish he would go down that route. Get rid of that pride and finish your story so your fans have something that they can look at in totality. But it's not easy to throw that away because that's your baby as an author. Like that's your legacy. That's what you love. That is you. It's hard to give that to someone else because it feels like you're giving up. So, it's a tricky situation with Togashi. I just wish that, and I wish that more authors did this. Like, I wish Miura did this. He comes out every once in a while, but for authors that are so intense on, taking their time with hiatuses and stuff like that, I wish they would come out and basically just tell the fans directly, this is my intent. This is, like, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, or, like, I understand your concerns. Here is what I want to do. it would make it a lot easier from the fans to understand. You made a good point, Dritz, because even if Ishida said if he took a break, it would make him lazy and steer him away from finishing the series. Exactly, son. And I was actually thinking about Ishida whenever I was saying that, because I remember him saying that before. Dritz, Aokiji is a better character than Akainu, accept it? Well, I never disagreed with that. Aokiji is an amazing character. Akainu is a solid character as well. Aokiji has more depth to him, though. I'm not going to disagree with that. What? Yo, Young, stop trolling. Dritz, would you honestly be surprised anymore if Zoro kills Kaido? Would I be surprised? Yes and no. Like, I would be surprised that Oda would, like, stoop that far. In terms of, like, just not caring about his writing. But, like, it would be par for the course. Yo, Matthew. Yo, Ben Sai Sama. Just what plot points do you think will be dropped as a result of Oda rushing the story? Like specific examples? Well, like, here's the thing. But the only, like, big ones that I have left is the fact that I'm not sure if a whole lot of plot points are going to be, like, dropped, but I do think that they are going to be skimmed over or rushed. But, like, whenever I think of, like, plot points being skipped over, I'm thinking about, like, the subplots of an arc. So, like, if you look back at Wano, there's a lot of things that were basically started and, like, never finished. They were wrapped up really, really fast. Do I like Attack on Titan? Yes and no. I need to reread Attack on Titan because I dropped it. Did I hate the chapter? Not really, Matt. It was meh. It was mid. It was not a good chapter, but I probably did not have the reaction that you thought I would have on the chapter, Matt. I'm going to be honest. My issues with the chapter, Matt, are probably way different than what your issues with the chapter were, if you had some. Dritz, I feel like future manga should be helmed by two people, an artist and a storyteller. It's way healthier that way. Well, yeah, it's healthier that way because you're having two people do one job, but that's not necessarily realistic simply through, like, how people end up getting serialized to begin with. It's usually, like, you know, kids that have an idea of a story they want to do and they want to draw and put it on paper. There's a sort of romance to the idea of, like, an author coming up with their own story and putting their ideas on paper. Just last week you asked if I was rereading Berserk since it's my favorite now. From 1 to 26, it's my third reread and I love it so much. Yo, glad you enjoy Berserk so much. I just want to know what you thought about the Rio bit. Okay, Matt. So here's what I think about the Rio bit. I want to wait for the official translation before, like, I give a definitive opinion. But, like, here's what I thought about it so far, Matt. I interpreted it as Kaido misjudging why he got hurt, because, like, Kaido's like, what, they have the same Rio as Odin. I don't think that's the only reason why he got hurt, and I don't think the Scabbards used Rio because there was no visual indicator. My main issue with the Kaido stuff is how poorly written it was and set up from the previous chapters in Wano in general. Because to me, it seemed like Kaido just had, like, a big mom scenario where, like, he thought about Odin and, like, his defenses lowered, and that caused him to get hurt. I don't think it was them just using Rio. Because, like, at the beginning of the chapter, you even have Kaido thinking about the Odin stuff, and then after he snaps back to reality, whoop, they go gravity, then he gets hurt. So that was my interpretation, that he thinks X, but it's actually Y. Dritz, how have your videos been coming along? Remember you said a big One Piece video and a Nami video, something like that? They've been coming along ass. I should be getting some more progress done, but they've been coming along ass. Slow as shit. Do I think Bo will come to Wano? No. No, I don't. Also, two people in two projects will props fall apart. That's also like a very real possibility, Eric. I agree with you there. Dritz, how would you feel if other mangakas reach out to Oda to ask him they don't take the time to rush the series similar to Naruto, as I heard Bleach? I would like that. Honestly, well, if other mangaka came out and publicly begged Oda to like not ruin his series, that would be a monumental thing. No one that would never ever happen. By the way, no one in Japan is ever going to do that to Oda. No one in Japan will do that. But if that did happen, that would be fucking crazy. Dritz 100% agree with you this week. Poor setup. Oh my god, Eric agreed with something that I said. What? 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 Oh, baby. I made a Yamato video and my credibility has shot up. Eric agrees with me. Let's fucking go. We get on Overwatch tonight? Yeah. Yo, Matt, are you going to play Overwatch with us tonight? Because I would definitely play Overwatch tonight. Dritz, my question is, are you mad that they wounded Kaido or feeling meh about it? So here's, I'll repeat this because I said this at the beginning of the stream. Matt, if you're there, you can weigh in your opinion on this as well. So I understand what I perceive to be the intent from Oda with that scene. I thought it was poorly set up, but there's also a secondary aspect to it that I don't think Oda necessarily considered. Is the fact that most of Wano, in fact, the story of One Piece as it pertains to Kaido, has set up Kaido to be basically invincible. You need to do X, Y, and Z to hurt him. Odin was special, even though that it wasn't actually the case. Odin wasn't special. Like, it's just like, it wasn't like a special situation that caused Odin to hurt Kaido. That was how it was set up, though. You have Zoro getting Enma, the only blade to hurt Kaido. You have Luffy learning all this Rio in prison because Kaido is so fucking strong. No one can get past his natural defenses. He is too OP. Everyone in Wano loses hope when they think about Kaido. And then the first thing they do against Kaido whenever they see him is hurt him. It's a bit underwhelming and is like kind of a letdown from how people viewed Kaido in terms of his villainy and hype. So, like, I think Oda probably should have handled that with a bit more tact. And that goes back to what I said earlier about the Odin stuff and his defenses falling not being set up well enough to make that feel rewarding. Which goes back to the whole dichotomy between Oda not being able to go 100% in on the scabbards or include the Straw Hats. So it's a multifaceted question. Just did you read Kingdom? I mean, I've read like 400 chapters of Kingdom. I don't read it weekly. Am I caught up on Hunter x Hunter? I am caught up on Hunter x Hunter. Yes. Thoughts on Hunter x Hunter? It has been the Succession War has been amazing for the most part. I think that Togashi really needs someone to explain to him that making every single character 500 IQ kind of takes away from the characters that are kind of supposed to be smarter than the rest. I don't necessarily need to know the exact mechanics of the fodder and how like they're thinking of like 5 pages worth of text if they're not going to matter anyway. I would say that Togashi was on fucking crack when he put out those last 10 chapters of Hunter x Hunter that was text. I did not think it was going to be as text heavy as people thought it was, and it was that text heavy. I think he was on crack for doing that. I heard people were mad you didn't call Usopp and Jinbei handsome Dritz. Oh yeah, of course you're gonna have people like that. Jinbei and Usopp are not. Get out of here. Just I don't feel like Oda isn't rushing the story. I feel like there is so much going on at once. The same thing happened with Marineford. So, well, I disagree with that. Anime 5K. What kind of PC do you have? My PC is not good. I want to get a new PC. How am I doing? Yo, I'm doing good, Pirate King X. Thanks for asking. Dritz, why did Oda introduce the scabbards? Was it to parallel the Straw Hats or something? I mean, not... I mean, kind of, but, like, not really. Dritz, Hunter, Hunter, and Berserk? Berserk easy. Berserk easy. Thoughts on Kingdom? I mean, I have not read Kingdom in a few years. I got burnt out on reading it as I was reading it. And there were a couple little nitpicks I had of the series that were kind of getting on to me over the course of 470 chapters. So I was like, I'm going to give this a break and come back to it. And I never came back to it. But Kingdom was a very high quality series. I enjoyed reading it as I was reading it. I will admit, though, that I am guilty of kind of fast reading over the text that includes the tactics and strategy. I kind of fast read that shit. But Kingdom is a great series. I want to get back into it and get caught up. Although I'm a bit hesitant because I did read, because I knew there was a lot of controversy around like the recent Kingdom arc. So I read that chapter and I was like, ooh, that's kind of some mid. But I have heard that everything else in Kingdom is amazing. So I want to get back on it. Drit's racist? What? What graphics card do I have? I forget what I have, but it's not a good one. It's like an old one. It's outdated. My computer is like 7 years old, and I have an i5. So not a good standard. Water 7 Ennie's Lobby or Golden Age? Golden Age, no diff. Golden Age, yeah, for sure. For me, at least. How's it going with the test you were preparing for? I passed, baby. Clap. I passed. Vagabond is better than Berserk. I've heard a lot of good things about Vagabond. I want to read it relatively soon. How do I think Pudding will come back to the story? That's a good question, and I'm not necessarily sure. For a while there, I thought that Pudding would probably come back in Wano along with Germa. Because whenever one comes back, I think the other will come back, essentially. But it's kind of weird because if Big Mom goes down in Wano, right, then you kind of have to resolve the lingering Big Mom plot lines, which is... it's kind of weird. But Big Mom's crew, quote unquote, is here, so if Pudding's on board there, you could resolve it then. I'm not sure when the Pudding stuff is going to come into play. It's a hit or miss sort of thing. I'm not sure. Dritz, I'd say that the scabbards wounding Kaido and piercing his skin feels bad to me. Kaido's scales were built up to be strong, and he seemed to be invincible. Now the image of him is crumbling. Well, that may change within the next chapter or two, Yama. Like, I'm like, what if the next time they try to attack Kaido, they can't hurt him at all? Then it would go back to my point about the writing not being good enough to support what Oda was trying to do. Alabasta or Water 7 Ennie's Lobby? Water 7 Ennie's Lobby for me over Alabasta. Oh, 5 from Felipe. What philosophers does Miura get inspiration from, aside from Nietzsche? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. Golden Age greater than all of One Piece? Well, any individual... yeah, Golden Age is better than any individual arc in One Piece. For me. Pudding will not be back in the story. Eric, that's you can't believe that. There's no way you actually never. That's cap. Dritz, if Kaido wanted to die so bad, why didn't he just have Kiku stab him? Do you think Bon Clay will come back into the story? If so, what would his role be? Yeah, I think he's going to come back. I think at the end of the series, Impel Down will be broken out of again, and that's how Dofi's going to get out X, Y, or Z, and he'll show up for the final war, and there'll be a bit a celebration of Bonchan, blah blah blah, happy, then they'll meet Eva, and then la di da. Wait, Oda gets inspiration from Nietzsche? Well, he was referring to Berserk, Edgelord. He was referring to Berserk. Berserk gets inspiration from Nietzsche. I don't know about Oda. I haven't seen anything that I can directly point. I'm not a Nietzsche expert, though, so. You know Jordan Peterson? Of course I know King Lobster. Of course. Golden Age is your favorite Berserk arc, Dritz? It's a tie between Golden Age and Falcon of the Millennium Empire. Do I think Jinbei is the last straw hat? I do not. What do I think about Crocodile? Crocodile is awesome. I like Crocodile quite a bit. Just, if I finish volume 1 of my series, would you try reading it? Yeah, I mean, I would try reading it. No guarantee on how fast I would do it, though. You know how I am with that. Oh, 20 Dara from Nicorish. I feel like Oda should have made the Straw Hats and Scabbards connected, like they realize how much Luffy is similar to Odin, have the crewmates realize what life would be without Luffy, and just appreciate him being Luffy. I mean, there are a lot of things that I wish Oda would have done differently with the Scabbards and Wano in general, and that's a cool idea and concept. When did you stop liking Otama? I stopped liking Otama when Otama basically stopped being a character, and Oda did nothing with her plot lines at all and kind of made her the generic cute girl to like. Was very disappointed in that. Dritz, do you think Oda has forgotten that Kaido is suicidal? I don't know if it's Oda has forgotten or Oda is now just changing. Like if it ends up being a gag that Kaido only wants to kill himself when he's drunk, then the fans are not going to be happy. But Oda may have just kind of changed what he wanted to do with Kaido. We'll see. I want to wait though. Dritz, I recently seen a theory of Bart getting captured by the Red-Hair Pirates, going back to the cover page of him burning down Shake's flag. I mean, it's possible. I think it's possible. Do I think Jinbei is the last good straw hat? Yes. Dritz, have you read Mistborn? If so, is it as good as they say? Depends on what you mean by that. I think Mistborn is good, but I would not consider it a top-tier story, my opinion. I think the resolution of the Mistborn trilogy leaves much to be desired, but it is a great series to read, and it's a lot of fun, and it has one of the best magic systems to have ever existed. It's great fun, but give it a try yourself if you're curious about it. Just, I'd say it's true that they might not be able to hurt him in the next fight, but I'd say it's going to be very inconsistent. Also, if Kaido goes hybrid and gets damaged by one of the Scabbards is an L. I mean, that would be an L. But it would be inconsistent in the fact that I wouldn't say it's necessarily inconsistent, Yama. I would just say it's poorly written. I had to wake up at 4 to catch the stream. Feels dedicated, man. Yo, Nate, geez Louise. What do you think about Crocodile in the future story? Not excited for Crocodile. As I said, this is a follow-up question. I love Crocodile, but I am not excited for Crocodile's future in the story. I am not excited for any past villains' future in the story because I think that Oda's going to hoe them. Oh, another 5 from Felipe. You said the last 10 chapters of Hunter x Hunter were bad, so you didn't like Hulkenberg's chap or the Fourth Princess or Kacho's. Listen, I said Togashi was on crack. So the last few chapters, I think were basically a waste of time. But I mean, it's not like they were bad. There were good chapters in those last 10 chapters. I'm just saying that Togashi was on crack for handling them the way that he handled some of them. Who do I think will be the next Straw Hat? I think the next Straw Hats. I think we might get multiple. The next Straw Hats, I think, will probably be Carrot and Momo, and if not Momo, some other individual. I think we might get two. How much of the Cosmere have I read aside from Mistborn and Stormlight? Elantris, uh, Warbreaker. Have I read another one outside of that? That might Elantris and Warbreaker may be the other two. Carrot sucks though. Yes, but Carrot makes the most sense. I'm not arguing. let me make this clear. People asked me who I think will join, not what do I think would be good. Carrot and Momonosuke fit what the roles and how they would be handled perfectly for the future. I think people should kind of give up on expecting great, relevant characters to become a new Nakama. Not going to happen. Just would Caesar be a bad Straw Hat choice? Yes. If the author of the series has to come out in an SBS and remind the audience why Caesar is a bad person from his own perspective, then yes, he is a bad choice to be a Nakama. Carrot makes absolutely no sense. Cap. I also don't know how Big Mom and Kaido are going to lose Yama. How can you tell me with a straight face Bong Clay won't be last straw hat? He earned it, Dritz. He's not going to be last straw hat. I'll tell you that. $5 from Muhammad. Is One Piece living off of Marineford? We're still waiting for One Piece just to be consistent again. Is One Piece living off of Marineford? I mean, in a way, but like, in a way, that's like the apex of the series. In terms of like, from a story structure, that was the apex of the previous, like, the way the story was going. So yeah, I mean, every series lives off of the climax of the series. Or like the high point. But it is less to do with Marineford and more to do with Oda. But anyway, boys, I think I'm probably going to wrap up the stream here. I want to play some Overwatch with the lads. I think we had a good discussion here. For those who wanted to watch the entirety of the stream, I will be re-uploading this on my secondary channel. Heavy Hime has linked the Discord in the chat. If you want to go check out this video once it's re-uploaded, please join the Discord so you can be notified. Gotta put in my plug somewhere. But thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in 2 weeks. I think there's a break next week, yeah? So I will see you in 2 weeks for the next chapter of whatever it is we're going to get. But thank you very much. I appreciate it, and have a nice night, day, or wherever.